Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So this video is somewhat of a version 2 of one of the most popular videos, which was the interview one. Now I didn't really want to sort of cut and paste and sort of just mimic everything I've done in that video, but I really wanted to condense it down. You know, with all my application process videos, it was me going along the journey, it was my application process, where now I sort of wanted to just make a really condensed version, sort of a concentrate package for you guys in terms of an interview, you know, how to go about an interview, what to do. We're going to use in some questions as examples, but, you know, if you want to know all the questions, or not all the questions, but a lot of questions, maybe watching my other video would be better for you, or whatever the case may be. So hopefully this video helps you out, and without further ado, let's crack straight on. So there's one key word that sort of umbrellas everything we're going to be talking about, and I don't care whether you're new to it or the most experienced in interviews, okay? The most important keyword is confidence. Confidence is the golden key. Now, I don't mean confidence is how you feel. You're going to feel nervous. Most people are going to feel nervous, okay? Maybe some people might feel confident. It could be arrogance as well. You know, arrogance can make you feel confident. But the form of confidence I'm talking about is the hard work. It's the reassurance you can give yourself. Okay, so when you're sitting there worried, okay, whether you're going in face-to-face, whether you're going over a phone call, whether you're going on Teams, whatever the case may be, and we'll talk about them in just a bit, you can sit there and go, yeah, okay, I am nervous, but I know that I did, you know, all this amount of work. I've done the research, I've done the mock interviews, whatever the case may be. Maybe even done even a little bit extensive from that, and you go, what happens if I got asked a question I'm not too sure of? How am I going to go about that? What's my thought process? Obviously, you can only prepare so much. You know, you can only train so much, you know, in terms of, like, you know, interview questions, things like that. But when you actually get onto the battlefield, I guess you could say, quotation mark, when it comes to the interview, it's that training will help. It'll give you confidence, but sometimes you have to maneuver that battlefield, you know, on the spot, on the mark. So maybe you might be better training yourself or giving yourself some confidence on how to answer questions that are not necessarily, you know, not necessarily sort of revised. And how am I going to go about doing that? Do I take a break? Do I just relax a bit? Give yourself that confidence. That's what builds your reassurance when you're worried. Okay, so before we actually touch into any more points, because that's probably one of the most important one, let's actually talk about the different scenarios. So most of the common scenarios obviously going to be face-to-face, they're going to be over Teams, they're going to be over a phone call. The point is, let's start with the hardest one, which is face-to-face. Now, many people are going to be nervous face-to-face. You know, the point is about an interview when you're going face-to-face, and this is mainly for people who have not done interviews a lot, okay, is that when you say, let's say you're gone in and you're going to your AFCO to do it, for example, go into the room, okay, be confident, stand tall, don't come in, you know, walking around and you just got your head down, you're just like this. Go in there, have your head up higher, okay? Don't walk in all big-chested and this, that, and the other. Just go in with your head up higher, nice body stance, walk in, okay? Let's say there's 5 people on the desk. Don't worry about it. Maybe like, oh, crap, 5 people, this, that, and the other. It's just 5 people. It is what it is, right? If it's 3 people, 1 people, it doesn't matter. Treat them all the same. Go in there, acknowledge everyone that's there, look at them, smile, and maybe you would like, if there's 5 people or something, maybe it might be worth, you know, going and shaking their hands. So go to the person at the end and go, you know, my name's Jake, thank you for, or, you know, don't say your name's Jake, but you get what I'm saying. If it's me, you know, thank you for your time, you know, I really appreciate it, thank you so much, hi, how are you, X, Y, and Z. And then once you get to the chair, you know, last person, shake their hand, sit down, and then they'll introduce themselves, okay? And then just look at them in the eye, guys. I know it's quite strange nowadays. I've noticed that, I said this to a person who came around my house who was part of the housing people on camp, and I was just having like a genuine conversation with them, and they were just like, the amount of people that don't look at you when you talk anymore, and I was like, I know, I don't know why, but yeah, just look at them. Just look them in the eyes. Like if they're talking, acknowledge what they're saying, you know, looking at them. It's not like you're going to die. You're not going to get laser shot through their eyes into your back of your head or whatever. So just look at them in the eyes. I don't know what else to really say. You know, it's also a term of respect as well. You know, if I had someone who's just constantly, like, you know, on their keyboard, I'm talking from this direction, I'm going to get annoyed, or I'm just going to stop talking to them as a whole. In an interview, don't have that luxury. Look at them, okay? And then this point really goes for the people who are, you know, there's many different people in the room. When you answer, look at each person. So let's say you get asked a question of, you know, this won't be in your exam, but just the one in front of my head. What's your favourite colour? So my favourite colour is stemmed from when I was young. It was mainly red, and then see what I'm saying? I'm not just going to the person who's asked it, blah, 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 and just ignoring everyone else. Just look around. You have to stare. You can just look around, glance in their direction, look at them, make eye contact, X, Y, and Z. That's confidence. That shows, it shows mainly confidence. You're not worried. You're happy about your answer as well. So that's the clear cut point. I wanted to get that out. The other bit of the phone call or the team stuff that's a bit more easier. I had a phone call, so I didn't have to do that. I actually prefer face-to-face personally because I don't mind looking at people. Maybe it's because I'm just used to it, I don't know. But, phone call for me was a bit more awkward. However, the point is still the same. Confidence is key. So the second point, now moving on from those scenarios, the second point is that truthful and honesty, okay? This is really straightforward and plain. Truthful and honesty is going to make your life easier when it comes to confidence, okay? Many people are going to get caught up on lying and exaggerating stuff. The most common one of the question they're going to ask you, most likely in your interview, is why you want to join the RAF. And most people are going to say, well, it's a childhood dream, X, Y, and Z, okay? What do you think your recruiter's going to do? They're going to sit there and go, great, tell me what you did in your childhood to prove to me that you was basically interested in when you was a kid. They may not formulate that exactly, but they might say, okay, tell me what things you did when you was younger then, and things like that. And you're going to be like, oh no. Okay, for me, I had a genuine interest when I was a kid. That's truthful. I was in cadets for 5 years. I lied to get in at the age of 12. I then, spent 5 years there, had a fantastic time, got to the rank of sergeant, done my master cadet, got my qualification. I became a teaching cadet, instructor cadet, at one point, got my yellow lanyard. I've done pentathlon, I've done countless poppy things, X, Y, and Z. That shows an interest, okay? And that's the key point, guys. Truthful and honesty is key. Now, you might get away with a little bit of exaggeration, but just blatant lying, they're not going to, they will know and they will dive in to try and root you out. So there's just no point. So many people may say, if I lie, then it make me look good. But then if you lie and get caught lying, your application's finished in the sense of interview. So it's just not worth it. Be honest, okay? And it doesn't just mean the answer is in giving the answer to the question. It could also be if they say, let's say along the lines of what charity organisations have you been a part of? If you've never been a part of something, what are you going to say? You're not going to say, well, yeah, I was a part of, was it Wish for Kids or whatever it's called, about the Make-A-Wish Foundation, that's what it's called, about the kids with terminal illness, and I've done this, that, and the other. And if you didn't, just say, I've never been a part of a charity organisation, but think to yourself, have I done anything that's related to charity? Have I done anything that is, could be taken as charity? Well, I used to help my neighbour with his shopping. I mean, that's like a bottom line charity, but say, I've never done that, but I have done this. Give some example. That shows initiative, shows confidence because you're thinking on the spot, and that's what they want. And there's proven some level of charity as well, so they'll be happy with that. So it doesn't have to be, absolutely Olympic answers of the absolute top of the best. It's just give the answers that you can, okay? And truthful honesty will help you with that, okay? And again, like I say, it doesn't just come in the form of the answer, what was your childhood, dream or whatever, or childhood interest, cadets. It could just be, whatever it is. I can't really think on the spot right now, but yeah, which is ironic. But the point I'm saying is that confidence is key when it comes to, when it comes to your answers, and being truthful will help the confidence out, okay? If you don't have an answer to it, be honest with them. Try and give a secondary answer or answer related to it. Maybe is a better way of putting it. That's really important. But the third one, and some relates to that, is clear and concise answers. And a better way of saying is make your answers as short or as long as they need to be, but as soon as you're done making your point, you cut it off there and then to prevent waffle. If someone was to say to me, what was your reasoning for joining the RAF? And I mentioned cadets. I can't say, well, yeah, I was part of cadets. Well, how long was I in cadets for? What did I achieve in cadets? I have to give some level of context to provide authenticity to my answer. But that doesn't mean that your answer has to be the same length as mine. It's whatever the answer is, make it as short or as long as it needed. And that's really important, okay? So make your answers clear and concise. Okay, the fourth one is know yourself. Okay, this is really important. So this will boost confidence massively. But there's also going to be questions, like I've already stated, that they're going to ask. And one of the questions they will probably ask as well is sort of, have you got any examples of leadership roles that you've had, or any examples of when you've undertaken leadership, X, Y, and Z? Now, fortunately, being in cadets, I had a lot of opportunities to do, being corporal, being sergeant, this, that, and the other. They're quite easy to use, and I was able to talk about cadets a lot, but maybe you didn't have that luxury. Sorry, got a really dry throat. And, so you would think about, okay, is it anything that I did, even at school? Was it at work, or was it in my friends group? Was it, was there a time when I was in sport and, the team captain was down, so I took the role and I noticed this issue and I went to the coach and then we implemented it and we improved effectiveness. That's what they want. They want the initiative and the leadership stuff. Because at the end of the day, you have got corporals, you've got sergeants, you've got flights, you've got, you've got warrant officers, you've got officers, you've got all these different ranks that have leadership roles. And, leadership is very, 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 very big part of the military. So it's very important to try and, I'm not saying, again, if you don't have anything, just tell them the truth. I don't have really any specific answers, but if I was to try and give some level of an answer, I noticed that my younger brother or younger sibling was struggling in school, and I took that upon myself to try and help them get out. That is a leadership thing. It doesn't have to be, again, gold standard, flipping, Olympian style answer. Please keep that in mind. That's really important. Okay, now, so know yourself. Another point following on from that is research your organisation. Okay, so there's going to be two parts to your interview. You're going to have your personal side. You're going to have then obviously the RAF side. So that's going to include your training, bases, general RAF knowledge. What is the RAF? What's its roles? What is the operations that's currently going on? What is your trade going to be? Where are you going to do it? How long is it going to be? Contract length, this, that and the other. Don't get too stressed out about it. Again, that's why when you get given your interview date, let's say it's in a month and a half time or a month time or 3 weeks time, spend that 3 weeks doing the research. Don't get caught up too much on knowing absolutely flipping everything. Okay, so research and organisation, and this actually naturally brings me on to my next point, is to dive a little bit further in. So let's take the example of research and organisation. So let's say you find 3 bases overseas, onto 5 bases, whatever it is, 5 pieces of aircraft, 5 operations currently going on, the actual core essence, what are the RISE principles, what is the what is the main mission of the RAF, or missions of the RAF, it's sort of core values, if you will, and other bits and bobs. Maybe take 3 or 5. You don't have to know absolutely everything. For me, I took 3. I took 3 bases home, 3 bases abroad, 3 bits of aircraft. And if they ask that question, these are my answers. If they wanted more, you could say, well, unfortunately, because I'm new to it, I didn't do that much research. But I'm almost certain if you're able to give what they do, where they're based, the names of them, X, Y, and Z, and their roles, whatever, then they're going to be most recruiters are going to be happy with that, because it's all just showing that you've showed an interest in it. Okay, so do dive a step further in. That's really important. So that goes for every answer, guys. That's just not just the RAF one. It goes for yourself. Yeah, I have got leadership, this, that, and the other. We'll dive a little bit further into it. Like I said, oh yeah, I was team captain, but done this, and this. If you see what I mean, dive a little bit further in. That's very important. So the sort of almost wrapping up this video, the sort of last 2 is listen to your recruiter, or listen to your interviewer, maybe it's better. Let them finish the question. If you're face to face, sit there, look at them, understand the question, listen to what they're actually saying. Even if it's a long question, just listen to it and then repeat the question in your answer. So let's say they say, let's say, for example, they say, this is definitely a question they're going to ask for everyone. Again, if you want to know not all the questions, but most of the questions they're going to ask, my other video will help you out much more in that regard, because that's what I talk about in the description and stuff like that. But one of the questions they will ask is that, are you willing to take a life? Okay, so most people are going to say, well, yeah, the answer has to be yeah, but it's how you answer. It's got to be a mature answer. Okay, so listen to what they say. Let's say they can format the question differently, but let's say it's the baseline of, would you be able to take a life? Although I do not want to take a life, I understand that I am part of a military organisation. I'm part of an armed unit, and I know there is that possibility, whether that could be. And if push comes to shove, and hopefully some form of diplomatic solution has been reached. But if it's not, and it's coming to this point, and it could threaten my life, my colleagues, then yes, I'll be able to pull that trigger. Do you see what I'm saying? Don't copy my answer, please, because they'll probably know what it is. But you get what I'm saying. See, it was clear and concise. It was as long as it needed to be. Maybe it could have been shortened down a bit more, but on that point, that's what I wanted to get out. Okay, so, and also I answered the question they said, are you able to take a life? And then I spoke about taking a life. If they ask about, tell me 3 bases. Well, these 3 bases that I've got is this, and this. Let's say it's to do with the, let's just think about the leadership thing. Well, there's the leadership things that I've done. You mentioned the leadership stuff. It shows that you've listened. It shows that you've paid attention, and now you're going to give the answer to it. Really important. And the last point to sort of conclude this video, guys, is ask questions, whether that's at the beginning, whether that's midway through or the end. Doesn't matter what a question is, within reason, obviously. You don't want to start asking for the number of your interviewer unless you're that confident. But, you know, you get what I'm saying. You know, if you want a question repeated, if you want to rephrase your answer, if you have any questions at the end, you know, I ask what trade they're in and what if they have any fitness recommendations or help or whatever the, you know, whatever the case may be. I asked them, you know, for help in that regard. So don't just think that you can't ask any questions. It's really important. Just ask the questions. You know, they've been in your shoes before. Okay, so that's hopefully going to give a lot of tips for you guys to help. If you want any specific, you know, all the questions, I'd recommend go and watching my other video as well. I really ran through loads of different questions they asked me, what my answers were, and, you know, sort of I had questions in the description as well that they could potentially ask. But this main video is just to get this sort of concept of an interview and how to ask it, and hopefully I've achieved that and help you guys out. So thank you so much for sticking to the end. I know I try to keep it as short as possible. But yeah, just as a concluding it all, go in there confident, keep your answers short and precise. Be confident knowing that you've done the research, you've done the thing, and if it comes to it where you get caught off on a question, give yourself that time. Take a break if you need, and not like a 10-minute break, but give yourself 5 seconds just to compile yourself and go, okay, how would I answer this question? What would be my answer? And, you know, just go through that sort of procedure and you'll be fine. You know, the interview is not as scary as most people make it out to be. The worst part of the interview is the build-up before it. When you actually get into it, it is absolutely a walk in the park for most people anyway. But yeah, thank you so much for staying till the end. Yeah, I wish you guys best of luck in the interview, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is. Take care. Bye-bye.